Hey Nerd Hatters. Now I'm sure you've already heard some people say that there's no difference between acting for the camera versus acting on stage. I remember the first time I did background, it was on the show Raising Hope. I didn't know it much about the show at the time. And since I was a new background actor, I was really just listening to those who take me under their wing and sharing me information, like, I'll make sure you get this bump and look out for that and things like that. And being a nerd as it is, I'm already kind of always observing and looking what's going on. And this one person that I had befriended told me, now make sure if someone ever tells you to take this acting class because the difference between acting for the camera versus acting on stage, it's a scam, don't do it, there's no difference. And I was like, okay. I thanked them for that information. As time has gone on, and the more I worked on set, which I'm really grateful to have done so much background, I got to see firsthand that is not the case. There's absolutely a difference between working on camera versus working or acting on stage. I think one of the best examples that I learned the hard way of that, I finally got to do background on the show that I absolutely loved. Super excited for it. It was a bar scene, and we were paired up in twos. There's 3 sets of us paired up in twos, and we needed to respond to what the lead actress' response was in the scene. She most likely was drunk. I don't remember what she was doing because it was eclipsed by my partner's performance. Because when the lead actress responded, I turned to my scene partner to respond, and she gave this huge performance, like her arms wide, and I was like, horror came over me because I realized we were going to be edited out of the scene because we were a distraction to what was going on. There absolutely is a difference between acting on camera or acting on film versus acting on the stage. For theater, for musicals, it's much bigger. Now, I don't think that's why I talk with my hands. I think that's a cultural thing, but it's bigger because you might have someone here, your audience is there, your audience is back there, your audience is up there. And you gotta not only emote with your face, but also your voice. It has to carry that far. Your energy is going completely outward, right? In many different directions. But for film, it's different. It's concentrated. One of the things that I've had to learn in acting class, I'm very grateful for it, is now, first of all, when you have an audition, if it's self-taping, you don't look to the camera, right? You're gonna be looking slightly off. It's just awkward. Unless you get directions to look at the camera, but typically that's not gonna be the case. Unless it's a commercial audition. They might say your eye line is to the camera. But you need to be still. So one of the things that I have to do, I'm better now, but at the beginning I'd have to squeeze my hands and keep them down here because my hands want to go everywhere. Not only that, is you need to keep your head still. And there's something about keeping your head still that you just allows your energy to be focused and just to give it more intensity. And you notice some of the best shows nowadays have that. The actors, it's almost like a master class in being still, right? I did a little bit there to show you guys an example of being still. And now I'm back to being me, where I'm moving and my hands are going about and whatnot. But if someone tells you that there isn't a difference between acting for film and acting for the stage, that's absolutely not true. I'm not sure why they'd think that. There are definitely some shows, like maybe the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon kids shows, where there is kind of like bigger acting, where it is kind of familiar to like being on stage. But even now, right now, the current trend is kind of leaning towards it being more muted, more realistic or natural responses. So then in that case, it does depend on the show, because some shows will require that. And then there's also certain genres or even certain directors where their type of work that they want from their actors is kind of more melodramatic or big. So then you'll have to do stuff like that. But just realize though, those are exceptions and not the norm, at least not the norm today. Maybe of yesteryear when film first came out, they were kind of bigger and more dramatic like that. But that's definitely not the case nowadays. So make sure your performance is accurate for the medium that you're performing in. And I look forward to seeing your work on the screen or the stage.